Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. For today, I'd like to go over a recent article on Teslarati which posed the question, will Giga Texas actually enter production of Model Y before Giga Berlin? And the article goes through many points which we'll go over in a minute. I want to make sure that everybody is clear that this is not a which factory is better, it's just trying to evaluate the information that Teslarati has put out. So let's go ahead and do that. And this article came out on the 12th of July, and I have the link at the bottom of the screen in the video description, so I recommend you take a look at that for more in-depth information. But in the article, I talk about the Brandenburg Economics Minister Jörg Steinbach stating that he expects final approval for the Gigafactory Berlin in the fourth quarter of 2021. And if this comes to pass, Model Y production in the facility would be starting several months or so later than expected. So that would possibly put it at the end of 2021 or even into 2022, which then opens the opportunity for Giga Texas maybe to catch up. There's no denying that the project Giga Berlin is meeting a substantial amount of pushback from local entities, and that is what is primarily weighing into this discussion. In the article, they mention that Giga Texas has not been plagued with the same kinds of delays. However, they do fail to mention that Giga Texas has had its own number of delays, primarily caused by weather impacts this year, which has been very unusual. They go on to note that the size of Giga Texas's footprint does exceed that of Giga Berlin's. However, Giga Berlin has also been adding additional parts of the factory to include the battery production facility. So that is something that needs to be taken into account, in my opinion. Tesla has adopted a very different approach to building Giga Texas, and we know that watching the videos both from Berlin and Texas. Giga Texas has been doing more of a multitasking kind of agile approach where they're building major parts of the facility immediately and doing pre-production testing at the same time. This whole thing, according to the article, suggests that Giga Texas might actually start production of Model Y a little bit earlier than Giga Berlin. So I'm not totally sure about that. So let's discuss this a little bit more. In my 6th July video, as you can see here, we did discuss timelines. So I'd like to go ahead and revisit a few of these timelines, but for more detailed discussion on Giga Texas's timeline, I recommend you take a look at that video. So let's start with the construction timelines that are projected for the main factory. We have about a week or so to go until we get to the 1 year of construction, and then in about the first week or so of October is where we're estimating the first substantial completion. And a reminder of that is that's when the construction project is deemed sufficiently completed so that the owner can use it as its intended purpose. And in the article from Teslarati, as a reminder, they said that Tesla did adopt a different approach to Giga Texas, the way that they're doing the multitasking and bringing things online quickly. And so far it seems to be working well. Of course, we have had those weather delays. As you can see here, I just put this area here on the September-November timeframe. I think that this is a window of opportunity if everything goes well that Giga Texas might be able to have initial operations. They have to get the initial workforce trained, and pre-production may be possible during that time. And as the other arrows I just put up on the screen indicate, that at the same time, it's projected that construction will be continuing on other parts of the facility as initial production for Model Y starts up. And looking at the projections for Model Y timelines, as you can see in that yellow oval, kind of thinking that sometime in the October to maybe early January timeframe may be when pre-production begins, but of course the weather delays, as we've discussed, may have pushed the initial window of that into October or November. And to be honest, I don't expect any significant production and deliveries of Model Y until the first quarter of 2022. And again, everything has to go right for them to be able to hit the fourth quarter 2021 for initial production of Model Y, and I think that is still something of a large challenge that we're going to have to monitor. So that brings up a few questions that I would have about Giga Texas versus Giga Berlin. The first is Giga Berlin still has several months of a head start, but how far along internally are they really? And Giga Texas is known to have some basic production capabilities tested in limited operation, but will they really have everything ready to go in the next 3 months or so? And while parts of the main factory are still under construction, it's assumed that Giga Texas can start pre-production. But we'll have to find out if that is true. And the question is also valid for Giga Berlin. And then the last question is how many more delays might Giga Berlin have? So if I had to make a choice, in my opinion, I would think that it's going to be close. Both Giga Berlin and Texas still have some significant challenges ahead, any of which can cause further delays. But if I had to pick one right now, I think Giga Berlin might actually be a month or two ahead of Giga Texas on Model Y initial production. And I really think both are going to be likely in 2022. But of course, as Tom Nash might say, I may be wrong, and this might be the ramblings of a madman, so I would really love to see your comment. I appreciate you watching and your input. Before we begin, I would like to say thank you to my patrons for your generous support. Patreon members get access to high-resolution photos, previews, and direct dialogue with me. If you would like to support my channel, please consider becoming a patron using this link, which is also in the video description. Please also consider subscribing and hitting the like button. Thanks. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas.